Good evening, traders. This is CloudChartist with your weekly Ichimoku wrap for the week ending January 13th. This is actually January 16th, Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everyone. We got an extra day off unless you were grinding away trading futures for the half day that we had today. I know I was not. So I normally release the video on Sunday night, but I took a little extra day off and releasing it now. And actually this is like my third take trying to record the video, and I gotta say that it's not really inspiring price action. You know, we have a lot of bull flag type action going on here, so I'm going to try to go through things really quickly and save us both some time. All right, so the interesting stuff is more like some of the commodities like gold and silver. So things will get exciting, but the U.S. indexes are pretty boring. So looking at the ES, we see that we're still bull flagging sideways. Last week we put in a very long-legged, I don't know, you could call it. Some people like to call this a bearish type reversal candle. I don't know, it looks like a hammer to me, but very thin body. So it just looks like yet another continuation of the bull flagging action that's going on. So if we do pull back, we have support down here at the Tenkan-sen, which is starting to mellow out a little bit, not pointing as straight up as an angle, reflecting the flag action. So if we do get some pullback, which would be healthy for higher prices, then do keep an eye on that Tenkan-sen level at 22.2775. We do have a nice thick rising cloud offering support, and we are not overbought on the RSI. Let's look at the Dow. Dow 20,000 tends to be evasive still, but we still have very healthy, nice looking bull flag, obviously avoiding that 20,000 level. Maybe perhaps people are trying to sell that level in hopes that there's going to be some kind of major correction. A lot of people are talking about selling the inauguration. It's all hearsay until it happens, so we'll see what happens. Let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ actually did put in a new high last week, very bullish. It looked like we were potentially putting in a head and shoulders topping type pattern, and we just blew through that, continued higher, and so we put a very bullish candle 2 weeks ago, and then made a new high last week with a slightly smaller candle, but there's no reason to think that we can't go higher here. If we do get a pullback, we have support at the Tenkan-sen at 48.8238. Look at the Russell. Russell putting in a nice, almost like a pennant type pattern here after coming down and trying to test the Tenkan-sen, but not quite making it all the way down to the Tenkan-sen and putting in a hardy bounce off the Tenkan-sen. Things look pretty bullish for the Russell going forward. Let's look at some bonds. Let's look at the ZB, the 30-year. So we see that last week we did put in a close above the Tenkan-sen, which is a bullish development for treasuries. We did not get the classic Tenkan smackdown, so that is good if you want to if you're thinking about getting long treasuries. This is what you want to see in hopes that the trend will continue, the bounce will continue to the upside. So we can look at the Tenkan-sen at 150.22 as potential support if we do get more downside, and see what happens when we test that level if we do go lower. And if we go to the upside, we're going to have some resistance when the Chikou runs into the cloud, and that's going to be at about 155.07, so keep an eye on that level. Can't see it over here, but the magic of Ichimoku gives us the Chikou back here, interacting with stuff back here, which oftentimes has ramifications for current price action. Let's look at ZN. Similar to ZB, we did put in a close, actually, let me zoom in a little bit more. We put in a close last week underneath the Tenkan-sen, but the new candle is open above the Tenkan-sen. So it's going to be really important to see if we can hold above the Tenkan-sen and that we will have support all the way down here at 124.065. So if we start trading below 124.065, I would be very concerned about being long ZN on the weekly time frame. Let's look at some metals. Let's look at gold. Gold actually put in a close above the Tenkan-sen, which is good, but is now having to deal with the weekly cloud resistance above, very thick weekly cloud resistance. Cloud is located at 1211.50, so keep an eye on that level if you are long gold or if you're trying to get long gold. We need to close the week inside the cloud in order for the trend to become go from bearish to being neutral. So that's a really important level there. If we do find selling and we get back down below the Tenkan-sen at 1172.60, that would be extremely bearish. That would put us back into full-on bear mode for gold. Let's look at silver. Silver put in all close above the Tenkan-sen also, so the Tenkan Smackdown setup is invalidated on the weekly time frame. We are putting in a topping tail on the new candle you can see here. So if we do find selling, we can look for support at the Tenkan-sen below at 1648. If we put in a close under the Tenkan-sen at 1648, things would be looking quite bearish for the metals and for silver. Let's look at the dollar. DX put in a close below the Tenkan-sen, so the first candle that we had to do so in a while, setting up the potential for a continued downtrend. Although the new candle opened up higher than the prior close and did indeed test the Tenkan-sen at 101.65, so that's an important level to keep a look at on the dollar. If that level, if price can't get above that level, then we could see selling potentially in the range between the Tenkan-sen at 101.65 and the Kijun-sen down at 98.93. Let's look at the dollar yen. Dollar yen last week put in a bearish candle, but managed to stay above the Tenkan-sen, and this week it's trading below the Tenkan-sen at the moment anyway. So if it can't get back above the 114.46 level, then we could see some more downside price action, perhaps down to the top of the cloud, which is at 112.13. So if you want to short the loss of the Tenkan-sen here, then that would be a good level to potentially cover your short. If we close under the top of the cloud here, then we could then the overall trend would be changed from bullish to neutral in Ichimoku terms. We do have support down here at the Kijun-sen at 109.09. That's quite a ways down though, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And I just thought I would look at how about some crude. Sorry to leave it to the end. Looking at crude this week, it's been really interesting. I drew this neckline. First of all, this is my larger pattern potential inverse head and shoulders set up here with a measured move up to 76.72. So just you've been looking at that every week, so we'll get that out of the way. But you see that my neckline has been holding, which is pretty interesting. And last week we did put in a, here let me zoom in a little bit. We did put in a close above that neckline that I drew, and we are trading above that right now after testing below it also. And then we have this obvious resistance above here, which is that gap that goes all the way back to 626.15, you know, so quite a while ago. That gap is going to need to get filled eventually, but it is seeming to act as resistance for the time being. Gaps are called windows in Ichimoku and do act as support or resistance. If we do lose this neckline and can start trading down lower again, then we do have support at the Tenkan-sen down here at 50.03. So that's a good, nice round number to keep an eye on, that $50 level. If we do head lower and you're interested in, you know, and you're short, you might want to consider covering that $50 area. If we lose that $50 area, we do have this prior gap window area that could potentially offer support, and then below that we have the Kijun-sen at 47.22, and then we have the cloud offering support all the way down at 38.86. I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next week. Good luck trading this shortened week, and if you're interested in learning more about Ichimoku, feel free to check out my website, CloudChartist.com, or hit me up on Twitter, or ask questions in the comment section below on YouTube. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos on YouTube, do subscribe to my channel. Thanks again.